Hey everyone, so welcome back to video number 2 for my Road to Recovery series. Let's talk about how I ended up on medications. In 2009, that is where I started being put on antidepressants. The reason I was put on antidepressants was due to a traumatic experience I had when I had a mental breakdown after recovering from what my first husband did to me. My first husband gaslighted me throughout our whole relationship and our whole marriage, manipulated me, brainwashed me. And when I got out of that marriage, I started to try to recover. But what it caused was for me to just keep replaying the trauma that I went through. And it started to make it hard for me to cope and live. So I had my mental breakdown, ended up in a hospital, and that is the start of me being placed on antidepressants. And my doctor kept having to change my antidepressant to something else because I became tolerant to the other medication. So it wasn't working for me, so I was placed on a different medication. Then that one didn't work for me. I was placed on a different medication. I was on it for a little while, then it stopped working. So I was given another medication. So it seemed to have been a pattern that I was just on a bunch of antidepressants throughout that time. Now, let's fast forward to how I ended up on a benzodiazepine. In 2016, I had a traumatic experience, a lot of trauma hit me, and I almost had another mental breakdown. I ended up in the hospital seeking help, knowing that I needed help with what I was going through because I did not want to fall back into what happened to me in 2009. Because what happened to me in 2009 caused a lot. Believe me, I don't even want to discuss it because it is a trauma trigger talking about it because I don't want to relive what I went through. So I was placed on a benzodiazepine. I was not told exactly what a benzodiazepine was, what it can do to you, what are the consequences being on it. I just assumed it was another antidepressant. I had no idea what benzodiazepines were. So I continued to be on this benzodiazepine for 5 years. I was on it for 5 years. And you shouldn't be on it that long. And I didn't know that back then. I didn't know that it was not something you should be on long term because I just assumed it was just like another antidepressant. As the years went on, I started to notice that it wasn't helping my anxiety, my panic disorder. I noticed that it was actually causing me problems. I started to notice in August of 2021 that I was having more heart palpitations out of nowhere with nothing causing them. That I was having panic attacks when nothing was causing me to have a panic attack. I noticed that my anxiety was getting worse. I ended up in the hospital right and left because of symptoms that I was having, and I was just not feeling myself. In September of 2021, I ended up in the hospital because I had an extreme heart rate. My heart rate went right through the roof. When I was at work, I got rushed out in an ambulance. This was after taking an emergency dose of the benzodiazepine that I was on because I was an essential worker at the time and my doctor increased my benzodiazepine. I was allowed to take an emergency dose and I was dealing with a lot of stress at work, customers were just very stressful. They were very vulgar. They were very violent. So I was in the hospital, and they gave me something to calm my heart rate. Did every EKG on me, and there was nothing that really caused my heart rate to go up like that, other than when I took that emergency dose. And that was a scary situation, because I literally thought I was having a heart attack. And as you all know, or most of you know, my mother died at a young age from a heart attack. So that kind of made me even more scared that I was heading down that path. Well, anyways, I went and I had quit taking my benzodiazepine, and I planned on talking to my doctor about it. When I went and saw my doctor, I explained to her that I decided to stop taking the benzodiazepine because it was causing me problems. And she asked me how long I had been off it, and I told her it was either 2 or 3 weeks. And she said to me, "Oh, well, any symptoms that you're having is just is an anxiety breakthrough, a panic disorder breakthrough. It's just your anxiety coming back. Now, can I put you on an antidepressant?" She distracted me from the benzodiazepine to prescribe me another medication. What she was doing was avoiding the fact that I was starting to have some weird symptoms coming off it, which would be withdrawal. And I was a little concerned about the symptoms that I was having. She disregarded what I said and decided that I'm going to prescribe you a different medication. What she didn't tell me is that coming off cold turkey was the dangerous thing to do. She allowed me to continue to come off cold turkey. And at that point, I did not understand the dangers of coming off of that medication, cold turkey. I didn't realize that I was supposed to taper off it. I thought it was like my antidepressants, that I've stopped cold turkey before and it didn't cause me that big of a problem. So I listened to her. I just, okay, let's talk about an antidepressant. So she distracted me so much that I didn't question putting the 2 and 2 together, that coming off of a medication in cold turkey was causing me to have these bad symptoms. Now, I will explain more on the withdrawals and everything, and not just my withdrawals, the withdrawals you can have when you do properly taper, because I have talked to many people that have came off in benzos, cold turkey, and who have tapered. So my doctor, who no longer is my doctor, I canned her shortly after I learned the true facts, literally lied to me and did not tell me how dangerous it was to come off of a benzodiazepine cold turkey. Now, I will explain that in another video, but I will tell you this: don't always trust what your doctors tell you. Don't always trust what your psychiatrists tell you when it comes to medications, because you may think that they have your best interest. Not always. Not always. Of course, they get paid more when they're pushing certain drugs. So, stay tuned.